Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T. Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T. Miss T. Miss T.
Miss T.
Can't wait for you to meet Miss T. She is the T in T.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sweet Tea Time. I am Miss T, or Tamara Sandiford, but most people call me Miss T or Sweet Tea. And I have a real sweet treat for you today. You are about to be in company with my friend, my colleague, iron that sharpens my iron, and someone that helps me think beyond, what is visible, but what's possible in stratospheres that I never thought that I would navigate. Please enjoy this conversation. If you're in any way inspired the way I am, just by listening to him talk and meeting him, I know that we're scratching the surface of some things just because we have to be a little bit abbreviated. But I want you to know the remarkable human being, Rashaad Lambert. Welcome. And before we get started with our conversation, because we can get started, I want you to do your best to just tell the people about you.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, you can do this.
Okay. My name is Rashaad Lambert.
Yep.
I'm from West Philadelphia.
Yep.
Born and raised. A serial entrepreneur, political strategist, marketing architect or marketect. That's trademark, by the way. I'm a father. A friend, I'm a Scorpio. I don't really like long walks on the beach. I don't like beaches, but I like long walks. Whenever I get into introductions, so many things come to my mind, and I'm always trying to think of what's going to be relevant to somebody. Like, why would they want to, which thing are they going to care about? So let me try to just give a little bit of everything. But I've worked in marketing for the past 20 plus years now, and that number just keeps going up every time I do this. It was like 10 years, 15 years, now it's 20 years. 20 plus years, former senior vice president of Forbes, founder of Culture Makers, founder of Forbes of Culture, and now Black Excellence Society. Am I missing anything?
Well, tell us when your entrepreneurial experience began. What I don't like is sometimes when people hear that list and they think, wow, he went to school and now he's this, now he's that. No.
Yeah.
I think if people know where it started and why it started, it helps them understand the value of what you've become.
My entrepreneurial journey started when I was 10 years old, around 10, 11, maybe even 9. But I grew up in the church.
Yep.
My mom, shout out to her, shout out to Mom, had me in the church every day of the week.
That's my kind of lady.
And what I learned is I just learned the structure of the Black church. A lot of people may not understand the backbone, especially from this current generation, because religion is not as important now as it was then, because we have the internet. They had to make a choice between the internet or religion, and they chose the internet. But at the time, it was a place where our community gathered, where we shared information, where we strategized, where we would eat, where we would
mental health.
If you mental health. If you didn't have family, this was your family. And that's where the term church family came from. It's like your regular family and then your church family. And growing up in that environment, I learned the importance of the men and the protection and provision for the women in the church building. But I also realized that the women do most of the work. And
now I just want to note that I didn't say that, although I do agree with it. That is a truth. I apologize, gentlemen, but we do.
But what they do, a lot of the women did a lot of the strategy. They did a lot of the organizing. They did a lot of the everything, really. In some churches, they didn't do a lot of the preaching. That's a whole nother story. We got past that, thank God. But I early on took on sort of like that male church role. So my entrepreneurial journey started when some of the elders within the church who were men, they just started dying. I also learned about men's physical health very early on. I didn't realize that's what was happening, but I'm realizing these older guys are not going to the doctor. They go
Yep.
outside and smoke cigarettes every time they get a break. They smoke cigars, all this stuff, and then they end up dropping dead. And nobody, of course, I'm a child, so nobody's really explaining to
Explaining it,
me
yeah.
what's happening, but I'm watching it happen in real time. I'm hearing them in the middle of prayer cough for 15 minutes straight, and I'm like, but that was normal to me because they all did it.
Yeah.
But now, as I'm older, I'm realizing, oh, there was something wrong there. So as they were sort of dying off, I hate to say it that way, but that's what was happening.
That's true.
I was left. It was me, maybe like a few of the other young men. So some of the stuff that they would do, like take the trash out. We would take the trash out.
Yeah.
They would clean the church. Then I started cleaning the church.
Yeah.
And then the way that I clean is a little bit different. I'm not like a regular man.
Yeah.
So I've always been great at organizing
Yep.
from that perspective, and I guess it grew into other facets of my life. But cleaning and organizing was something I was really good at an early age. So when I cleaned, it was different from how it was cleaned before, and they took notice. They're
Yeah.
like, "Who?" They would come in on Sunday like, "What's that
Who did
smell?
that?
Who
Yeah.
cleaned in here?" And they started saying me. So then I ended up getting a job, so
Yeah.
to speak, as like the church like janitor, because the person that had doing it had like passed away. I mean, had been doing it, had passed away. So I became church janitor, and it went from just doing that, which was our like home church, to then other folks as within the black church. They do something called like guest speakers and guest
Yeah,
ministers and
yeah.
like second service, third service.
Yeah.
So people would come from other churches, and they would just like, I didn't realize that I probably wasn't supposed to be doing this at the time, but like I would like mix different stuff together because I wanted to smell different.
Yeah.
So probably not the most safe thing to do, but I mean, it
But-
worked out. Everybody
Yep.
survived.
Nobody passed out on Sunday.
Right. And they would come and they were just like, what is this? You know, I took detail. I'm
Yeah.
very detail
Yeah.
oriented. So
Yeah.
like dusting the Bibles, dusting the hymnals, dusting the
Yeah,
pews,
yeah.
and then not just mopping, but then waxing the floors and making sure that, you know, it looked presentable, but then it smelled presentable and
Yeah.
it felt presentable.
Yeah.
Like vacuuming the pews, which if you ever seen like cloth seats, like, you know, they collect
Yeah,
all
buddy.
kinds of dust. It was
Yep.
to the point where you could hit one of those chairs and it would just like dust everywhere.
Yeah,
Sorry, no,
yeah.
I did the mic, but like, yeah, it would be dust everywhere. So
So you changed the standard of excellence.
yeah, and then that kind of got me other
Opportunity.
jobs
yeah.
and other opportunities
Yeah.
within other churches within
Yep.
the community. But I'm only one person, so, and I was a kid and I had school, so I only had Saturday and Sunday to do this, and really Saturday because they were using it on
All day on Sunday.
on Sunday.
Yeah.
So we used to have youth night on Friday nights, and I would ask the other kids like, "Hey, you want to help me do this?" Like, I mean, we weren't paying much. At first they used to pay me in McDonald's, but
Yeah,
but then I was
see?
like, I need some money.
People
but,
don't even know
yeah,
about
yeah,
that kind of
yeah, different
compensation.
times.
I
Yeah,
used to get
different
payment in
times.
like 2-pound bag of Skittles.
Yeah.
I will work for them
Yeah,
Skittles.
I'm a diehard Eagles fan, which you can probably tell from my sneakers if you can see it.
I see you.
But my aunt Sadie, we used to bet every time. She's a Cowboys fan,
Yeah.
and which in retrospect is weird. I don't know why there's so many Cowboys fans that's from Philadelphia, but whatever.
Let 'em get it.
She was a Cowboys fan, and we used to bet, and we would bet cheese pizza. Like, she was like, if you win, I'll buy you a cheese pizza. If I win, then you have to watch me eat a cheese pizza.
That's a good way to start praying for the
Right.
Eagles. Oh, Jesus, please.
Right.
You know I'm hungry.
But I say that because those were the type of barters at the
Yeah.
time. Like, we have moved far away from bartering, and everything is transactional now. It's
Yeah.
all about what am I going to get from this?
Yeah.
What am I going to get paid? Not. I value those experiences
Yep.
probably more than any money that they could have
Yep.
paid me for that, because I learned a lot of things. I learned like discipline. I learned
Mm-hmm.
how to, sometimes there were some very stubborn stains
Mm-hmm.
that somebody might have gum, which I used to hate that. When somebody would have gum and put it under the thing,
Yeah.
I had to learn how to use a razor to get it off without cutting my finger off. You know, just things that at the time were pretty annoying, but I learned those skills became transferable.
Sure.
Like, I don't let the gum of a situation deter me from trying to, you know, to like scrape it off. I want
Yeah.
things to look beautiful across the
Doing
board.
excellence,
So that's
yeah.
not just in cleaning. I just mean, just like you said, I like the way you said it, operational excellence.
Yep.
That's that kind of started there, and then from then I got into music. I fell in love with rap. One of my next door neighbors, shout out to Eddie, he introduced me. I wasn't even allowed to listen to rap at the time. This is again, I don't know if there's still I like this, but at the time when they were building these row homes, they had shared walls, and the wall was not two
This wasn't
walls;
big.
it was one
Yeah,
wall.
yeah, yeah,
It was
yeah.
I think
You
they
hear
called it a party
everything,
wall.
yeah.
Party wall is what,
Yeah.
what they used to call it. So I used to listen to Michael Jackson. That's all I had. My little Fisher Price Walkman.
Yeah,
That's
oh
all
my
I could
gosh,
listen
they
to.
don't even know.
Right.
He just said Fisher Price.
Yeah, Walkman,
Walkman.
as in a cassette tape.
Google that. That's how anything you see in entertainment right now, I promise you, Fisher Price Walkman played a part.
Yeah, absolutely. It had all the colors and
Oh,
everything.
yeah?
But it didn't have rewind. No, it didn't have fast forward. It had rewind. So if you
Yeah,
wanted to
buddy.
fast forward, then you had to flip the tape over.
Now see, but wait a second. that taught you how to be creative
Yeah.
and how to get what you want.
Yes.
I am not going to sit here and wait for this thing.
No.
Whatever, I'm going to flip this tape over and do
Yeah.
the
I'm gonna flip
rewind,
it
which
over.
go
I'm gonna
fast
skip
forward on
this.
the
So
other side.
I want to hear remember
I'm
the time again.
I'm just telling you, people. We're dealing with a generation of kids that have such ease
a microwave generation.
of access.
A microwave
True.
generation.
Well,
I tell my daughter that all the time.
You don't even know, but again, it built creativity, it built
Patience.
innovation, it built strategy. Yes, patience, but I think it also challenges that too, because I'm not going to sit here and wait for this thing to do. I'm going to flip this thing over, rewind it, which is going to fast forward on the other side. But who would think?
Right.
How do you know to think like that?
Well, when you say that, the innovation part of that, like switching where I was talking about on cassette tapes, but
Yeah.
even from like a VHS perspective, right?
Yep.
I used to watch bootlegs a lot.
Yep.
I'm from West Philly, okay?
We do
have
not
bootlegs,
endorse this
okay?
today.
We
but
don't
it was
endorse
necessary
it. Do not
yesterday.
purchase
Don't
things.
you judge. Don't
Purchase.
you judge. You got to
Don't
buy it.
bootleg.
Now stop this.
Buy it.
Okay.
Buy it outright. But
back in the
y'all
day-
but they all bootleggers now, because streaming is bootlegging. That's
okay,
what it
so
is.
since
Streaming is bootlegging.
You're
It's
a bunch
not
of bootleggers.
But I say all that to say, Eddie used to play Biggie. He used to play Snoop. He used to play Eazy-E, which is crazy. As a kid, I loved Eazy-E. I didn't know what he was talking about, but it was his voice,
Yeah.
his cadence.
Yeah.
It felt so animated. And you got to
Yeah.
think about it. This is probably the only time you ever going to hear somebody compare Michael Jackson to Eazy-E.
Yeah.
But Michael Jackson, post Pepsi commercial, Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
as he got older, right?
Yep.
His cadences and the way that he sang. I even saw a video recently of him performing "I Want You Back" as an adult with like his brothers, and it was completely different than when he was a kid because his
Yeah.
voice had changed, but it
Yeah.
was so animated,
Yeah.
right? Eazy-E was a similar type of animated. Like his voice wasn't really like that, but when he would rap, it sounded like he was like it was a performance. It felt it felt
Yep.
like fun,
Yep.
even though he was not talking about fun stuff.
Yep.
But well, I mean fun to them, but it felt fun. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I like this guy, and I would have my cup to the wall, and I'm listening to it, and I just fell in love with like hip hop music. So Biggie, those are some of my first ones. Biggie, Nas, Snoop, Jay-Z, Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, like all those. Oh, Tribe Called Quest. I loved Q-Tip. Q-Tip reminded me of one of my uncles.
Yeah.
Because it was so smooth. And then I started writing my own raps. Well, first, what would happen is I used to write down the lyrics to other people's raps because
Yeah.
we didn't have Genius, so we had to like listen to it and write what you thought they were
Yep.
saying.
Yep.
And then and that's how I would learn the song. But it went from me writing their raps and then realizing what a couplet was, what a bar was, how these things go together, how this is a metaphor, this is a simile, this is like, oh, these things I'm learning in school, this is what they're doing in these
Yeah,
songs.
written-
Like, oh, I
yep.
could do this.
But would you say that was the instigator for what they were doing, or would you say that you were able to connect that with what you're learning, but that's just what they were doing to get their music out?
I think it was. I think it was both. This is probably another unpopular opinion, but because a lot of them didn't finish school or they dropped out very early, that's probably as far as they got.
Yeah.
So their vocabulary wasn't the most extensive,
Yeah.
but the complexity in the music, it was a
Arrangement,
marriage. Yeah, it was a marriage between what they were seeing outside in the real world and what they had learned in like English class
Yeah.
and basic English classes, like how to rhyme
Yeah.
different words. But
Yeah.
then it became the real creativity in hip hop for me was the bending of language, the twisting of language. Like,
But that's what we do culturally.
Yeah,
We quick
exactly.
to make up a
Yes,
word
yes.
or a name for
Yes.
somebody, like real quick. And I don't know that that was highly adoptive back in the day.
Yeah.
But today,
Yeah.
they will take our words
Yes.
and use them so fast.
Yeah, because
and throw
that
them
used
on
to
a
be called-
T-shirt
because
or
that used to
something
be
like
called
that.
Ebonics.
It's,
It was,
yeah,
it was
no,
a-
now
it
it's
had
just
a negative
language. It's
connotation now.
trending.
Exactly. Now it's culture.
Yeah.
It's like it went from being black culture
Yeah.
to culture. Well, no,
Yeah.
it went from being black culture to pop culture
Yep.
to culture.
Yep.
Now it's just culture. It's like
Isn't that
cultural
interesting
language.
though?
Yeah,
Like I
very
think it's
to see over
interesting
time.
how the transition of that has happened, and sometimes I talk about it. Definitely with my young people, but like we used to get teased
Yeah.
for the things that we
Same.
were and the things that we are. We used to get teased for talking the way we talk. We used to
I mean,
get
my
teased for our
name.
hair. We used to get teased
Yeah.
for how we used to put the big rims on the cars. I remember a whole article that came out about that. And now today you can't drive a Lincoln off the lot without a set of 24s. It's industry standard now, but
Yeah.
before it was ridiculous black people and the stuff in the ghetto. So it's just fascinating to me, like you said it, how we bend things, how the bending of things, now there is no more bending, it's become the norm.
Exactly, it's the norm. I remember watching C. Dolores Tucker take a steamroller and roll it over a bunch of hip hop CDs and records and tapes. So, shout out to her. I mean, no disrespect to her legacy, but I'm like, that's where we were at that
Yeah,
time. They're like,
yeah.
this is the end of society. Like, we have to down with this. It's like, no, but look at what we
Look
were
at what
able
it-
to do with it. Like, well,
yes, yeah.
look, we were,
Look at the benefits of it.
Yeah, look what we were able to turn it into.
Yeah.
But this is what we've always done over time. Like, look at grits. Like, we take anything and turn it into something.
Yeah.
Like, so,
Yeah.
got into the music, started writing. Some of my friends got into the music, and at the same time we started a group. And around that time is when I fell in love with marketing.
Because
I skipped over
how
kinda
does it
like-
connect to
Yeah, I'm about to tell you. So around that time, my dad was into politics, and one of his best friends that he grew up with decided he was going to run for state representative, which I didn't know anything about politics at the time. I was maybe 11, so I was learning. At the same time I was doing the stuff in church, he would come and get me sometimes, and I would go with him, and then I would see what they were doing. I learned about door knocking, and
campaigning,
and
yeah.
like canvassing,
Yeah.
and he would put me in like the phone bank room and just
Yeah.
had me dial numbers and call
Yeah.
people and ask them, do you plan to vote? Do you know where your polling place is? Who do you plan to vote for? Oh, okay, thank you. I still got the script because it
Yeah.
was very simple. It was
Yeah.
like, he's like, you can't mess this up
Yeah.
because it's very simple. It's 4 questions. Just make sure you ask and just put a check next to which side they're on. And
did you ever learn what they did with that information?
eventually I did. I didn't know at the time, but eventually I learned that this was a part of them collecting data.
Yeah.
I didn't realize
And
that
how
what I was
critical.
I didn't realize that what I was looking at was the voter rolls
Yeah.
for that particular district. I didn't know. I thought they just had a list of people that
Yeah.
they knew. I'm like, man, you know a lot of people. But and then learning how that kind of translated to him winning the election. I remember the night that he won. I was at the shout out to Brian, but I was at the celebration event,
Yeah.
and to see other people that I didn't know they were all like I used to watch TV, so I thought politicians were like celebrities. You gotta remember that like local TV was all we had.
Yeah.
So I thought these people were like celebrities. I thought the news anchors were like celebrities. Everybody I saw on TV I thought was somebody. So when I walked into this room and there's all these cameras and all these people, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. He must have won, like, he must be president now.
Yeah,
He was
yeah,
state
yeah.
rep. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that there was a bunch of state reps.
Yeah.
But that made me kind of like dig deeper into that. So fast forward to like the music stuff. As I'm into the music, I started seeing parallels between the same things. So we were a group. We were very talented, by the way.
I'm not surprised.
And because of that, we were able to gain popularity within our high school, within the community.
Yeah, quickly
we would
too,
go,
probably.
We would go battle.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of us, and it went from just being there was only really initially there was only 4 of us who really cared about the rap. Everybody else was a part of the group because they were our friends.
Yeah.
So it was like we're just supporters.
Yeah.
So we would go get T-shirts made with our group name on it. Then we would have somebody do we had different, which was merch.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that we were creating merch, but these were my ideas. I'm like, yo, we need T-shirts with the group name. Then we need something that's our individual shirt so people can identify us. Then we need a logo.
Yep.
Then we're making a mixtape. Oh, we need a mixtape cover. All right, I'm gonna go in Microsoft Paint and figure this out. I'm gonna take a picture that we had. I'm gonna emboss it and make it look like, take all the color off and then just put the name and and that was our first cover.
Yeah.
And then every other cover since then, it was just like, just let me figure it out.
When was the last time you listened to your stuff?
We actually have a listening session coming up.
Really?
We're going. We're like I'm fortunate that the ones that are still here with us and still we're still best friends. We in a group chat right now. So they were just at my house not that long ago for the game, but we always come together, even though we're not all Eagles fans. They're crazy.
That's okay.
But
we forgive them, but we still.
I forgive them. I forgive you, B. I know you're a Bucks fan, but it's cool. I still love you, brother. We still come together, and we just were talking about that.
Yeah.
Like, man, our anniversary is coming up. Our first mixtape actually was recorded, edited, and dropped on 9/11 on that day.
Wow.
I was in high school.
Yeah.
I was a sophomore or freshman. I can't remember. One of those two. That's crazy. Once that stuff starts to get foggy, that 20 years in business start to come into focus.
That's how you know.
But I asked to go to the bathroom. I was walking in the hallway and I was on my way back to my class, and I walked past a classroom. We used to have something called Channel 1. I don't know if they had that out here, but Channel 1 was like a news channel, but it was done
just
by
for your
kids.
Schools? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was done. No. It was for all of the schools in the district. So there was like a group of kids who were the anchors for Channel 1 News.
Wow.
So that's what we would have a break every day at like 10 o'clock in the morning and watch Channel 1. I think it was like a 15-minute show.
Yeah.
And they would talk about, current events, world news, all that stuff, because we didn't have like social media. So we had to get it from somebody. And they wanted us to get the news from people who sounded like us, who looked like us, who we could kind of relate to. Sort of like what y'all doing here.
Yeah.
I walked past this classroom, and apparently the first tower got hit while I was in the bathroom.
Wow.
And it broke into the broadcast. So when I walked past, I thought I was watching a commercial, because you would have never. Now I know we've seen all kinds of stuff now.
Yeah, but back when that
the young people that are watching this, they've seen everything.
Yeah,
now.
they're
Everything
super
is
desensitized.
they're
to
super
this stuff,
desensitized,
so,
but we didn't see stuff like that. Like, I didn't even remember
that act of terrorism. That
I was alive.
We didn't know.
I was alive when the first attack happened on the World Trade Center, and I did not remember that. I didn't see it. It might have been on TV. I barely remembered the OJ
trial.
No, him being on the run. I barely remembered that, and I only did because I was at my aunt's house, my grandma's house, and every house we went to, it was still on TV. It was on TV the whole day. Anywho, I'm walking past the classroom, and I thought it was a commercial for Independence Day 2. I had made this up in my mind.
Like the movie.
Nobody had announced that there was an Independence Day 2 coming out. It just looked like Independence Day, because in the movie they blew up the White House. I'm like, okay, this has got to be a movie. The towers now. Got it. And when I went back into my classroom, I was like, my first thought, and I said this out loud, and they remind me of this. I'm like, yo, this is a long commercial, and when people turn around, they got tears in their eyes. I'm like, what are y'all crying for? And my teacher is like, sit down. And he comes over and he said, somebody flew a plane into the World Trade Center in New York. And I was like, what do you, my brain couldn't even comprehend that. Because flew a plane. Like,
Yeah.
why would they do that? How did that happen? This is America. We supposed to be like, how did they even get to, get to
that
do
far.
that? And in the midst of us, talking, we saw the second plane hit in real time. Like,
Yeah.
and everybody it was silent. I probably haven't been in a room that quiet ever since. It was just like you could hear more like more than a pin drop. You could hear airflow. Like, it was crazy. But that morning or the day before, we planned to go to the studio after school. Us not realizing the seriousness of this,
Yeah.
we had two plans. We were going to go buy Fabulous's debut CD, Ghetto
Yeah,
Fabulous,
yeah.
and we were going to buy Jay-Z's Blueprint, and then we were going to the studio.
Yeah.
So because they're like, we're going to dismiss school early and send everybody home, which in retrospect, I don't know why that was the best idea, but they sent us all home into the streets. There's panic everywhere. Like, because the adults knew we didn't get it. We were
Yeah.
kids. So
Yeah.
so they sent a bunch of kids out of school where we was probably safer early. And instead of going home, we went to the studio and recorded our mixtape. So even if in that first one, we're like talking about it as if nothing happened. Like, we were perfectly fine. We had Blueprint, we had Fabulous. And then the guy, because the way we recorded, it wasn't like, no, it was not professional. We recorded in somebody's basement. And when I say they were edited, we will record and they're like, okay, that's good. Let's go to the next
Yeah.
one. And we record the whole song all at once. Like,
Yeah.
doubles and triples. It sounds crazy. I'm so glad we didn't have the internet because
Yeah.
none of this music exists anywhere.
Yep.
Yep. And we did that and we put it out that day. So that's we always talk about, we remember 9/11 completely differently because it wasn't until days later or when we realized, like, oh, that was like a really big thing. Like this is like the Alamo, which we had learned about in school. Like, oh, this is like this is like a thing that we're always going to talk about. So we recorded the mixtape, we put it out, and it went the equivalent at that time of viral. There was no internet, but it was everywhere. Like, we would buy the CDs in bulk. I would print them up myself. We didn't have a multi-CD burner.
Yeah.
I literally burned
Up all night
hundreds
burning
of CDs
Yeah.
one by one
Yeah.
by one
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
one. And because we mostly went to the same school, but then some of us went to other schools. So we would give a stack of CDs
Yep.
to each person, and they would go sell them in their school.
Yeah.
And that's how we kind of spread all over the city. And it was like just thinking about, okay, you go here,
Yeah.
you take this amount with you,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna give you this amount, and I'm gonna give you this amount. Just like thinking about that was, sort of like a marketing strategy,
Yep.
of how we could corner the market,
Yep.
because nobody was really doing that at the time. Like, people were nobody our age, because we were still like 14 years old, like 13, 14 years old, maybe like barely. Like, nobody our age was doing that.
Yeah.
They didn't have that type of kind of thought process. And then we started going into different facets
Innovation.
of branding.
They didn't have that kind of innovation.
No, they did not. And then we went into different facets of branding. So then
Sure.
I mentioned the T-shirts with our name, and we started selling them.
And again, tell me how old you guys were.
It was like 13, 14.
Do you
yeah.
do you ever think back on that, who you are now, with a level of understanding of the depth of creativity, innovation, and then ability to take a risk on yourself? The kind of courage and bravery it took for you guys to do what you do, or do
I
what
don't,
you did.
because it was nothing to me.
You were just being yourself.
It was. I mean, again, I reference this a lot, but I'm from West Philly, so it was do or die. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't like
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I had another option.
You didn't have, it wasn't optional.
Like, it wasn't, and
it was
and
part of the survival plan.
and it didn't feel hard. It didn't feel like difficult. It was just like, here's a problem, here's a solution. Like,
Yeah.
we want to reach this many people, and I just sat there and thought, how do we reach these people? Okay, we had other groups that we looked at and that we aspired to be like, and wanted to have that type of like market share, or what I know
And
now
again,
is market
tell
share.
me, say the age again.
I was 13, 14.
Because I'm going to make a
15 years
point.
old. Yeah.
I'm going to make a point.
Mhm.
I'm going to make a point.
Yeah.
How many adults helped you guys?
Very few. My mom would drive me to the BJ's when I needed to go get CDs.
Yeah.
Other than that, all the design work was me. All of the t-shirt designs was me. Yeah, well, pretty much it was just like figure
Say the
everything out, and
age
then we
again.
reinvested our own money. It was 13,
into
14,
your brand.
15, yeah.
You reinvested into your brand.
Mhm.
Say the age again.
13, 14, 15.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a
around
point.
that age, yeah.
You
Yeah.
Make a point.
And I his Beanie Siegel has a line in one of his songs that he says, "If I would have known then what I now know sooner."
Yeah.
Like, cause when I think about this stuff, this is where I realized that, like, I didn't know that was marketing at the time. When I started to really get into marketing, I realized, oh, I've been doing this almost my whole life.
There you go.
And so we did the t-shirts, we did that. We started doing headbands and wristbands and all kinds of stuff. We had eight ball jackets, and then we started to work on the next mixtape. And it was like, okay, how do we want to do this one? Like, we started to kind of think strategically about our individual strengths. My homie Shiz was the best rapper in the group, like, by far. He's still one of the best rappers, period. If he cared to take it seriously, he still would be. He's one of the most talented people I've ever worked with. Lyricist.
Yeah.
And, like, he could make a song out of anything.
Yeah.
And so then it kind of shifted, like, we need to feature him more, so let's give him a solo. And then as we started to do that, it's like, okay, there's other people who are fans of us individually for other things, so now let's each have a solo, but like on the joint project.
Yeah.
So we would have our solo songs, and then we would have our group song, but there was a lot of us, so it's like some of these songs are getting too long. So let's figure out who complements each other best.
Yeah.
And let's start to put together songs based on which voices, which styles, which things complement each other. And then my friend Shiz, he would write a song or write a hook, and then we would say, all right, who got a verse for this?
Yeah.
And then we would put those songs together, and that's how we started to push out projects kind of rapid fire. And then he did a solo project. We finally actually got the attention of, like, a label. We got a manager. I'm gonna skip a lot of this part because I don't want to say anything negative about anybody, but I'll say we had a manager. Our manager was not on the up and up.
Yeah.
They were stealing money from us.
And how old were you at this point?
15, maybe 14, 15. And our parents didn't know. Like, people, I've had this conversation privately. I don't think I've ever talked about this publicly before, but privately I've had this conversation, and they say, well, where were your parents? My mom didn't know nothing about the music industry. Neither did any of their moms, or, like, they didn't know nothing about the music industry. So they were trying to support us as best as they could, but they working 1 and 2 jobs. Their focus was on trying to make sure we stayed alive.
But
like,
do you understand that that's the common narrative?
Yeah.
That's a common, whether it's music, whether it's sports, whether it's anything that we get into by way of entertainment that causes us to excel in our craft.
Yeah.
There's always a manager that comes along. There's always somebody else that comes along to
Because they see
monopolize
it.
on the brand because they see the gift that's in you. And then, unfortunately, you know, our parents, they only know what they know, and they take us as far as they can take us. But people prey on that.
Yeah.
So when you talk about a culture, when you talk about a community of people, a body of people, again, that protective mechanism for me was church. But that we only go as far as we can go. And so then you have people that will prey on communities with talented people like this, unless a Rashaad shows up and says, no, baby, don't sign that. This means this, and this. Is that what you want? Here, let's go over this with your parent. And then I think about it, the reason I keep asking the age is because we have so many young people that are talented, gifted as all get out. But then they become the product. And then you deplete the product, and then you dump the product.
What I'm seeing now with this generation of young people, and I'm talking about recently, because there was a long period of time where this stuff continued to happen
Sure.
to other artists and other young artists. But what I'm seeing now is a lot of these younger artists are becoming more savvy
Oh yeah.
than they were before. So they are asking questions about points and
Yep.
splits and
Yep.
masters, and they're not letting anybody in the studio just give them, oh, say it like this or do it in this way, because they
This is
know
my-
that
yeah, this is my
that
art, this is my-
that,
my
that
stuff.
becomes a credit for them. It's
Yeah.
like, now I owe
Yeah.
you something. Like before, it was so communal that you got all of your friends in there, everybody's drinking and
Yep.
smoking and doing
Yep.
all this other stuff, and you don't realize that now you just split this song. This, if you got a hit song,
About
now
20
you just split
different
it with 20
ways.
different people, because
Yep.
everybody in there,
Can say,
oh,
"I
I gave you
contributed
this
to
word.
this."
Oh, I told
Yep.
you to say
Yep.
the instead
Yep.
of them.
Yep.
Oh, I told you to say they instead
Yep.
of her. Like, you see what I'm saying? And now that kind of changed. So they're becoming more savvy and more independent,
Yeah.
seemingly, and it
Yeah.
seems like they're learning because they got the internet. So it's like a gift and a curse. Or I remember I said it was like church or the internet, right?
Yeah.
Because at a certain point, even when I left the church, it was because I got to a point where what I was doing, church didn't translate or didn't transition. It was cool when I was younger, but it did not translate into the current cool.
So it didn't.
So then-
it didn't grow with the times, or it
No,
didn't
it
shift with the
didn't.
times.
It didn't.
or-
I feel like now there's a lot of
Yeah.
like younger pastors and all of that,
Yeah.
but it didn't happen fast enough. So
But do
there's
you
a
say
disconnect.
that? Do you say that because of the relevancy or between leadership and
Absolutely.
so you didn't have, or you didn't feel like you had the person to look up to that could help guide you through this experience in the body?
It was. This is probably a deeper conversation,
Yeah,
but
I'm
it
just
was.
curious.
It was more so that at that particular time, and this may still exist in some places.
Sure.
Asking questions for clarity was not encouraged. It
Oh,
was
gotcha.
discouraged. And when you're young, you're curious.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me as a young person to not ask questions,
Yeah.
because I want to know things.
Yeah.
Like I want to understand this. I'm not asking to question. I'm not trying to blaspheme.
Sure.
I'm trying to understand. And
Yeah.
when you tell me that I can't ask questions, then now I feel like you're hiding something, or like there's something not saying that.
Yeah.
But it's like that's where my mind went, and my focus became, okay, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. And there wasn't anybody, just like you said, there wasn't anybody young enough to be able to translate what my question was into an answer that made sense to me, or that
Yeah.
I could share and then regurgitate. This goes back into marketing.
Yeah.
You teach people
Yeah.
what to say. If they had marketed the religion or church better to the younger
the
generation,
church experience.
they would have been able to know how to translate it. Because I brought all my friends in the church. They didn't want to come there. I brought them there because I marketed to them as a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
And then once I got to a certain point where I hit a wall, then how can I keep bringing them
guiding
here?
people.
I can't guide them if you won't guide me. I can't guide them. So then we threw ourselves into the music. That's kind of how it came. And you can have both, but we didn't have both.
Yeah.
This became our main thing, but it kept us focused. It kept us busy. It kept us. That's all we did was sports and music. Some of us, I ran track. We played, they played basketball. We played football, but that was our main thing.
The same components, though. You just kept practicing what you learned.
Yeah.
Like community building, take
Yeah.
care of each other, relationship building, strive for excellence, build something special. Like
Yeah.
it's the same components. You just translated it in a way that you could keep growing, your
Yep.
friends could keep growing.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. I think that if you don't draw attention to that, any young person today or yesterday or tomorrow,
Yeah.
their instinct, their desire is to grow.
Yeah.
So whenever
Absolutely.
they're put in a situation that's a box-like situation, whether it's a box and somebody else is thinking, or an actual literal box where this is as far as I can grow in this house or in this company or in this building, once you start boxing them in, they're gonna find a way to grow.
Absolutely.
And if that growth means being replanted someplace where they can continue to blossom, they're gonna do that.
Yeah.
So I think it's critical that people understand what they're doing, especially as it pertains to young people, and how to help facilitate them becoming who it is that they were predetermined, by way of design to become.
Yeah.
And if you don't give them the tools, give them the environment, give them the right soil that they're, planted in, they're gonna find a way to grow.
Yep.
And the only time they don't find a way to grow is when they succumb.
Yep.
They succumb to the environment. They become hopeless, and they'll die. They'll die in the box.
Yeah.
And I see so many people, they're either dead on the vine or dying on the vine.
Yeah.
No life, flat line,
Yeah.
doing the same thing day in, day out, day in, day out. But it started somewhere.
Because it's what they see. They don't see. They mimic and imitate
Absolutely.
what they do see most often, which happens to be in their communities, but they don't see a lifeline.
Yeah.
They don't see another option that
But
takes
they
them
don't create
outside of
one
that
either,
routine.
which is what you and your friends
Well,
did.
yeah.
You
But
made a path.
we did it because we saw it. Like, we didn't see what we were doing, but we saw what we wanted. And sometimes, and we didn't get discouraged.
Yeah.
So the next part of this is like, okay, we need money. Like, where are we going to get money from? Because we're not getting, like, we're making money off of this, but we're reinvesting it,
Yeah.
and we're doing okay. But now we need more money to support studio time and all this other stuff. So I started selling candy. The vending machines in our school were extremely expensive.
Yeah.
And now I'm gonna say this number. It's not going to mean anything to you guys now, because I know that this probably is triple the price now, but I don't eat candy anyway. So that's why I chose to sell it, because I don't eat it. So, I wasn't getting high on my own supply.
You ain't getting high on your own supply.
Exactly. The Snickers bars.
Hold on a second.
Okay,
Can
go
we
ahead.
just
Sure,
that
please,
statement?
please.
Never get high on your own supply.
Ever. Shout out to Biggie.
Just saying. Never do it. If you are selling something, you shouldn't be your number one consumer.
Yeah.
If you're doing social media content creation, you shouldn't be your number one consumer. Never get high on your own supply. That is rule number one in hustle game entrepreneurship. You are to sell something, maximize something, multiply something. Yes, be passionate about the process, be passionate about helping people, but never be your number one consumer. If you talk to people like us, we're not watching our own videos and taking notes. We're just not. We're sharing what has caused us to grow. We're sharing what has helped us, but we're not the number one consumer of what we're putting out. The reason he can sell candy is because he can sell the candy and not eat the candy. If you're looking for something that's going to cause you to increase, multiply, prosper, don't do something where you're the number one consumer. I promise you, you will not be successful. And the phrase that we use in the culture and the community that we're from is, never get high on your own supply.